A very good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Peter Kamau. This is TV47 at 4. Let's get started. Tension gripped Mathare this morning as protesters led by the families of Maxwell Kiarie, popularly known as Maxi, and Abdulaziz Molu, alias Zizo, took to the streets to demand answers over the disappearance of their loved ones. Kiarie has now been missing for over 10 days, while Zizo has been missing for 7. Demonstrators marched through parts of Mathare, calling for the immediate release of the two men and asking the police to restore calm. Human rights defenders joined the families in demanding accountability, transparency, and respect for constitutional rights.
Kwa sababu ya wenzetu ambao walishikwa na gunmen waliabductiwa. It's been 10 days since Maxwell Kiarie was abducted. It's been 8 days since Abdulaziz Zizo alishikwa by unknown men. Tuko hapa kuambia the CS of Interior, Murkomen Kipchumba, atekeleze katiba.
Narudi, alikuwa na watu kwa gari. Walisimamishwa around railway, Jujafa, hapo karibu na railway. Wakienda kutoka, hawa watu wanasema walilalishwa chini. Waliambiwa washuke kwa gari, wakalalishwa chini. Wakaulizia ndugu yangu, akasema ni yeye, wakamchukua. Wale wengine wakatishiwa wakiinua kichwa watauawa, wakaachwa hapo, wakaenda na ndugu yangu.
Tafadhali Luto, tafadhali Murkomen, DCI, Sakaja, Babu Owino, MP Wakili, MP Makdhiga, nyinyi wote tunawaomba muweze kutusaidia ili tuweze kupata hao watoto. No Maxi, no peace, no Zizo, no peace, no Olo, no peace. Niko na huzuni sana, katiba ifanye.
The Kenya Human Rights Commission, KHRC, has condemned what it terms as escalating harassment and intimidation of community members in Munungo and Obwanda villages in Vihiga County following the deployment of General Service Unit GSU officers. KHRC has expressed concern over human rights violation, citing arbitrary arrest and harassment of residents by security personnel. The Commission has noted that the operations appear to target individuals who have voiced concerns about activities at the Shanta gold mine. According to KHRC, there have been consistent reports alleging that police are being accompanied by civilians who have singled out homesteads in the targeted raids. The organizations insist that the public is entitled to know who authorized such operations and under what legal jurisdiction they are being conducted.
These residents have seen their homes raided, been harassed and intimidated, and been arbitrarily arrested, with General Service Unit deployed to harass and instill fear in them. The latest wave of attacks has persisted for several days. Even though the targeting spans years, these villages have not experienced any known security threat warranting such action.
Disturbingly, community members have consistently raised concerns that those being singled out are individuals who have openly questioned Shanta gold operations and have actively sought justice through lawful and constitutional means.
Former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has accused President William Ruto's administration of orchestrating a sustained crackdown on journalists and media houses, alleging that the attacks are aimed at suppressing press freedom ahead of the 2027 general election. Speaking during a media briefing on Tuesday, Gachagua claimed Kenya was witnessing an escalating pattern of intimidation against journalists, bloggers, and independent media outlets, which he said mirrors trends in other East African countries.
If this government thinks that their problem is the media, this is the biggest lie they are living in. The problem is not the media. It is fake promises, failure, lies, a failing economy, failed systems, poor service delivery, corruption, abuse of the rule of law, abductions, extrajudicial killings, and total failure of government. William Ruto, please leave journalists alone. Leave the media houses alone. Do not take us back to the dark days of the 80s and the 90s. It is unbelievable that in the era of information technology, artificial intelligence, and citizen journalism, the state can sit down and think of how to silence the media. This is when schools have no classrooms and hospitals have no drugs, even painkillers. William Ruto, you have captured all institutions. You have punctured the opposition immediately after you got into power. Please leave the 55 million Kenyans with the media as their last line of defense.
Elsewhere, Siaya Governor James Orengo has criticized President William Ruto, accusing him of violating the 10-point agenda he agreed on with the late opposition leader Raila Odinga by allegedly orchestrating the abductions of innocent Kenyans fighting for their rights. Speaking at Nairobi Women's Hospital, where he visited activist Davis Lichuma following his alleged abduction, Orengo further accused the state of intimidation, claiming that police are monitoring people visiting Lichuma in hospital.
Even in Raila's death and in remembrance of his memory, these things are still happening. And that's why I continue, despite what people are saying, to campaign with other Kenyans that we must bring a stop to what is happening to our country. Abductions should never really happen in a free and fair democracy. The government should have come out clearly to explain what has happened. I am told that unmarked vehicles belonging to the police have been hovering around. Instead of coming out openly to deal with the problem, they are just monitoring who is coming to see Davis and what others are trying to do insofar as the situation is concerned.
Efforts to enforce human rights and health standards within correctional facilities received a boost after the State Department for Correctional Services received a donation of 980 mattresses from the Office of the Deputy President. Speaking during the handover, Chief of Staff in the Office of the Deputy President, Dr. Christopher Wanjao, said every citizen, including those held in correctional facilities, has an unalienable right to dignity and treatment without discrimination. Correctional Services Principal Secretary Dr. Salome Biako said the donation reflects on the government's commitment to improving the welfare of persons in custody.
This is a government approach. Inaonyeshana kuwa the entire government is completely committed behind His Excellency the President, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, to ensure that we collaborate and improve the standards of each and every Kenyan. Na sisi katika idara ya marekebisho hatuachwi nyuma na hatutawachwa nyuma. So we are very, very grateful, and we would want this collaboration to continue in the rehabilitation programs, in the reform programs, in ensuring that these people are completely equipped.
Tunza mali ya serikali kwa sababu yeyote gereza anaweza kuingia ili muweze kukaa mazingira mema na mazingira ambayo yako na utu na heshima. Irrespective of where they are. Either wako huko nje ama wako ndani ya prison, kwa sababu pia kuwa ndani ya prison sio kusema you are not Kenyan, you are still Kenyans. So the rights na all those benefits that are enshrined in the constitution, you also.
Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi says trust is the foundation upon which strong institutions, stable democracies and prosperous economies are built. Speaking while addressing the Kenya Regulatory Institutions Consultative Meeting on the upcoming Global Trust Summit 2026, which Kenya will host from 22nd to 23rd October 2026, Mudavadi said in today's digital era, where misinformation and declining public confidence present growing challenges, strengthening trust between citizens, institutions and governments has become more important than ever. Mudavadi added that Kenya is among democracies that are putting efforts to rebuild trust aimed at realizing shared strength, advance sustainable peace and economic growth.
Institutions is at
the existence of state is partly a function of this rules-based order, because without the appreciation and the ownership by all of us of these shared rules, then we cannot be able to stand as a state.
We must build capacity in the institutions that are regulators. They must have the integrity. It cannot be a one-man shop or just a small unit hidden somewhere. Therefore, governments must resource regulators appropriately.
Elsewhere, officers from NACADA, the Kenya Revenue Authority, and the National Government Administration officers today destroyed illicit alcohol and other goods worth more than 90 million shillings at the Kenya Industrial Research and Development Institute in Kisumu County. The exercise is part of the government's ongoing efforts to combat illicit and counterfeit products while sealing loopholes used by traders to evade taxes.
Kamwe hatutasita kuhakikisha kwamba bidhaa zote gushi zinazopatikana katika maeneo haya tutazitafuta kwa njia zote, kwa udi na uvumba Waswahili wanasema, ili kuhakikisha kwamba tunazipata, kwa sababu bidhaa hizi zina madhara makubwa sana katika afya ya jamii na kwa kiwango kikubwa sana zimechangia kwa kuvunja familia, kwa sababu vileo vya aina hii ni vileo vibaya sana, na wananchi wale walevi wengi siku hizi wanapenda kitu ambacho wanalewa kwa haraka sana na pesa kidogo.
So it is a support to ensure that our society only consumes what is legitimate. And so we are proud to be part of this journey, and we are not relenting. We have gotten a lot of support from the officials that we are standing together with here. And we want to commit to the public that it's not going to end here. We are going to carry on as we ensure that we protect our economy and we protect our people.
Here is a multi-agency to support the fight against counterfeits, so that we support NACADA, we support revenue collections by carrier, we have safe products for everybody. Thank you.
We cannot just stand there and wait for our children to be destroyed. So we are here to make sure this thing is brought down.
The government has launched Kenya's Country Impact Assessment Report on the Accelerated Industrial Development for Africa and the African Continental Free Trade Area AfCFTA, aimed at accelerating industrialization and boosting intra-African trade. Speaking during the launch, Principal Secretary for Economic Planning Dr. Boniface B. Makoha said the report will guide efforts to strengthen value addition, improve competitiveness and expand opportunities in key sectors including tea, agro-processing and manufacturing. Kenya is among 5 pilot countries selected to test the IDA AfCFTA assessment framework, with lessons from the exercise expected to inform its implementation across African Union members.
All the other countries in Africa are looking up to Kenya to see how we move the IDA and the AfCFTA agenda. So this launch of this assessment is actually an impetus in the right direction for us, so that we are actually able to identify what are the key bottlenecks that are impeding implementation. We correct that very quickly and be able to move the agenda so that the other African countries can also learn from us.
Especially in the State Department of Economic Planning, we are now undertaking what we call the medium-term review of the MTP4, which implements the Better Agenda. Within that medium-term review, it will be a good opportunity to ensure that we capture key targets from the report into our plans. Will depend on our ability to move beyond exporting the raw materials, and instead we feed into broader regional cross-border supply chains.
And that's where we wrap up TV47 at 4. Alan Nzuki, our sports reporter, and the gang are up next with World Cup Extra. Stay tuned.